Hey guys, Reese here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about how to increase your credit very quickly. So unfortunately, credit is very important today. You need a good credit score to rent, you need a good credit score to buy a car and take a loan out on it or take a loan out for a home. Credit's important. And while paying attention to your credit and focusing on improving it and maintaining a good score can be relatively boring, by maintaining a high credit score, it'll save you thousands and thousands of dollars, one on high interest that you might have to pay by not having a good credit score, as well as the missed opportunity that not having a good credit score will bring you by not being able to take out a loan on, say, a house or an investment property. And by taking a few steps to build and maintain your credit score, one, you'll save thousands of dollars over your lifetime, and it'll make life a lot easier for you. And so in today's video, we're going to talk about how to really boost your credit score in as little as 30 days. And then by maintaining these habits that will build in those first 30 days, you'll be able to keep and continue to build your credit score over the years to come. So guys, before we dive into these tips and tricks on how to boost your credit score, I'd love it if you'd go ahead and leave a like on this video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'd really appreciate it, and it helps me out a ton. Now, we briefly touched on this, but why should we care about our credit? Well, by improving your credit and taking the really minimal amount of steps and building certain habits to maintain good credit, you open certain doors that just wouldn't be available to you with a bad credit score. And one of those doors is the ability to take loans out on, say, a home or a rental property. And now my channel is focused primarily around buying investment property. And so having a good credit score is extremely important to get the best rates and terms on your loans. And even if you're not interested in ever buying a home or an investment property, you still need a decent credit score to rent. If you want to rent in a nice place in a nice neighborhood, most landlords look for a 600 to 650 and above credit score. And so it's super important to keep that credit score above 650, even if you never plan on using debt. However, if you have less than a 650, there's no need to panic. We can take a few steps in the right direction to boost that credit score in the first 30 days, and then keep those habits rolling and have your credit in the high 700s over the next few years. And so the first step to boosting your credit is to just get your credit report. You can't really fix bad credit if, one, you don't know what your credit score is to begin with, and two, if you don't know the factors that are contributing to that bad score. There's many sites that you can pull your credit reports from all three bureaus, one being annualcreditreport.com. Credit Karma pulls reports for two of the main bureaus. I really like Credit Karma. However, you can go to either of these sites and pull your credit report. Now, if we take a look at my Transunion credit score, I have a 795, and if we scroll down on the Credit Karma website, we can see the 6 factors that are contributing to that score. And it's super quick and easy to see that the age of my credit history, as well as the number of new accounts / inquiries on my credit, are negatively affecting my credit score, while the other categories are either contributing in a positive way or not really affecting my credit. However, we can also see that these have a very low impact on your credit score. And we can also see what has a major impact on your credit score, such as payment history, credit utilization, as well as any derogatory marks on those credit reports. And so by identifying these key factors and the things that are pulling your credit down, we can target those areas to fix those and therefore boost your credit score. So now, in really less than 3 minutes, you know what your score is, and you know the main contributing factors to that score. And so now we can move on to step number 2, which is to understand what makes up your credit score. As we just saw, there are certain things that affect your credit score more than others. Some have a very high impact, some have a very low impact. For example, a missed payment, say 30 days or 60 days late, is substantially worse than just a young age of credit like I have. Therefore, if we focus on these areas with a very big impact, we can make the biggest change possible very quickly. Now, the 2 biggest factors to your credit score are payment history and credit utilization. Your payment history is super important, and it also makes up the majority of your credit score, and therefore making on-time payments is super important when building your credit and maintaining a good score. Late payments can be 30, 60, 90 days late, and obviously a 30-day late payment is not as bad as a 90-day late payment. However, both are pretty bad. It's important to note on this though that say you make a payment on the 15th when it was due on the 1st. That's not actually reported to the credit bureaus until you're 30 days late. You might have a late fee from your credit card or the company that holds your loan. However, it won't be reported to the credit bureaus. The second largest factor is credit utilization. So say you have a credit limit of $1,000 and your balance on that credit line is $500. Well, you're at a 50% utilization. The higher your utilization, the worse your credit score will be. It's really ideal to keep that utilization under 10%. Now, the next three categories are not nearly as important, especially when it comes to a 30-day credit boost. However, they are something to pay attention to and work on in order to improve your credit long term. And those three are credit mix, your age of credit, and your new credit/inquiries. Credit mix means the type of credit you have open, such as an auto loan, a home loan, credit cards, student loans, things like that. It's important to have a mix of these loans in order to get the best score possible. However, this is really only 15% of your credit score, so it's not that important. Age of credit is the average age of all your credit. So say you have a credit card you opened 10 years ago, and then you get a home loan, say this year. Well, your age of credit will be the average of the two, which is 5 years. The longer your credit history, the better your credit score. And so it's super important to not open a ton of new credit cards all at once because that will substantially reduce your credit age. However, you can open new lines of credit gradually and therefore not reduce your credit age as much. And that new credit/inquiries are the last thing affecting your credit score. A lot of inquiries or hard credit pulls on your credit report will negatively affect your score, as well as a lot of new cards opened all at once will also not look good on your credit score. However, we can see that 65% of your score comes from the top two categories, which are your credit history as well as your credit utilization. So if we work on these two, we can solve a lot of the problems to your credit score and boost your credit relatively quickly. And so step number 3 is to start making changes to those identified pain points in your credit score. Now, the first and probably easiest thing we can do to increase your credit score is take a look at all 3 reports from the 3 credit bureaus and double check the accuracy of that information. Are there accounts with late payments that you closed years ago? Dispute that. Anything that's incorrect, you should dispute. It's as easy as clicking a button. And best case scenario, those items will be removed and your credit will go up. Worst case scenario is nothing happens, so it's worth a shot. Now, the next thing that can really help your credit, if you have, say, a parent that's willing or a spouse that's willing to add you to a credit card as an authorized user, you'll inherit some of their good credit history. So ideally, you'd find, say, a parent that has great credit history, or your spouse has a good credit score, and you can be added as an authorized user that will help give your credit a good boost. Next up, if you have any active late payments on any lines of credit, go ahead and make the minimum payment at least on those cards to bring those lines of credit active and not in default or not late. As we talked about earlier, a 30-day late payment is not as bad as a 90. So even though you have, say, one 30-day late payment, well, let's stop that from becoming a 60-day or a 90-day. Make the minimum payment on that. Now, the next thing a lot of people recommend you do is call, say, your credit card companies and ask them to increase your credit limit. That way, if you have a $500 balance on a credit card with a $1,000 limit and you get it raised to $2,000, your credit utilization goes from 50% down to 25%. However, if you have a bad credit score or late payments, it's unlikely a credit card company would raise your limit. And so the next thing you can do is open a secured line of credit like the Discover It credit card. You'll deposit, say, $1,000 with them and they'll give you a $1,000 credit limit, which increases your credit limit and therefore decreases your credit utilization. I'd recommend opening up a few of those, which will then help boost your credit score in that first 30 days. The other thing this will do is give you a new mix of credit. It'll give you other lines of credit, which looks good. Then when your credit score gets boosted in the first 30 days and you bring active all your other lines of credit, you can then call your credit card companies and ask them to increase your lines of credit even further, and therefore lowering your credit utilization and increasing your score even more. Ideally, your credit utilization will be less than 10%. So, if you use your credit cards often, you need a relatively high limit to stay under 10%. If you have a $1,000 limit, you can only put $100 on that each month. Now, if you can't get a higher limit, just pay off that credit card more frequently. So every time you get to $100, pay it off, even if that means you're paying off your credit card 5 times a month. And therefore, by affecting these two main factors to your credit score, which is your payment history and your credit utilization, you can expect a solid bump in the first 30 days. Now, of course, habits will need to change long term to keep a good credit score. So if you say pay off some lines of credit and bring all your lines of credit active, but then 2 months from now you start making late payments again, well, your credit score is going to go down the dumps again. If you bring all your lines of credit current today and then keep them current for a year, the older that bad credit history is, the less effect it will have on your credit score. So if you made a late payment last month, that's going to look really bad, versus if your last late payment was 3 years ago, that has a substantially less effect on your credit score today. So all the changes and good habits you can start to implement today, sooner the better, because then 30 days from now, your credit score will increase. And then 6 months from now, it'll continue to increase because all your bad credit history is getting farther and farther away. So guys, I hope that helps you on your journey to improving your credit score. And that way you can get into some great home loans to buy your first investment property and start taking steps in the right direction to improve your financial future. So guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope this helps, and I'll see you all in the next video.